Hey everyone, it's Bryan, Director of Skincare Research here at Paula's Choice, and I am actually at Paula's Choice. You're seeing our studio, our lovely sofa, our faux fur throw, the new gray backdrop, pretty swanky. Normally I would be doing this live chat from my home, but I'm here in Seattle this week, so it is 11:30 Seattle time, and I am ready to take your questions for the next hour. What is on your mind about skincare, about beauty, trends, ingredients, Paula's Choice product, Paula's Choice philosophy? What can I help you with today? And normally I would have the laptop in front of me and I'd see everybody's questions coming in, but today, since I'm the talent, as they say, I have my colleague Allie, who is manning the laptop and will be feeding questions to me. So, do we have anything yet, Allie?
Oh, we sure do.
Okay.
Katie asks, can you please talk about how to incorporate the Moisture Renewal Oil Booster into your routine for seasonal dryness? I have combination skin that is more dry and dehydrated this winter.
So, there's a few different things you can do. I think the oil booster is a great example of a really key product to help deal with those seasonal issues of dry skin. And they do tend to afflict people with combination skin more. I find that to be kind of the more unpredictable skin type. What I would recommend is just adding 2 or 3 drops to the facial moisturizer step in your routine at night. And then you would dispense your usual amount of facial moisturizer into the palm of your hand. Take the dropper from the oil booster, start with 2, maybe move up to 3 drops of that into the moisturizer. Use your free hand to mix it up and then apply that to the drier areas of your face. Now, if your oilier areas of combination skin are also looking a little dehydrated or flaky, you can still use that moisturizer oil booster mix. It might feel a little greasy when it mixes with your own oil, but when you're doing that at night, really who cares? You'll wash it off in the morning and you'll get that rehydration that you need overnight and get that flakiness under control. Don't worry about the oils in the oil booster clogging your pores. They are designed to stay within the uppermost layers of skin, and they're designed to be easily, what isn't absorbed can be washed off. So that would be the easiest step. You could also add a drop or 2 of the oil booster to one of your other leave-on products if you, let's say you don't like how it feels with the moisturizer that you use. You could put a drop or 2 in with your serum or with one of your treatment products, or even your exfoliant if you want to. The oils will not throw off the pH of the AHA or BHA exfoliant. Those will still work. What will happen though is that by mixing the oil and the exfoliant, you're creating a bit of a buffer, so the exfoliant won't penetrate quite as quickly, but it will still get through.
Leonie is wondering why her skin is feeling dehydrated after starting a prescription retinoid. She's already using our skin recovery line.
Okay.
What else can she do?
So retinoids, because of their action, particularly the prescription kinds, they can be dehydrating. It is typically an irritant response as your skin adjusts to this new and very active ingredient. Make sure this isn't happening because you're over applying it. For most retinoids available by prescription, the recommended amount is a pea-sized that you spread over your entire face very thinly, and it's easy to fall into that thinking of, if a little bit of it is good, then more must be better. I'm not going to use a pea, I'm going to use a dime-sized amount. And that can be too much too fast, and your skin will tell you that that's exactly what's happening. It's getting a kickback from too much irritation. You'll feel that dehydrated sensation. You'll see some flaking or some redness. If you're using the prescribed amount and you're still experiencing that, it could just be part of your skin acclimating to this new ingredient. What you can do is, rather than put the prescription retinoid product on first, you can mix it with the Skin Recovery Moisturizer. What that will do is slow the penetration of the retinoid into the skin, again by creating that buffer that I just mentioned for the other question, which should help minimize, if not completely eliminate, that dehydrated feeling. If you find that the prescription retinoid still makes your skin feel that way, two things. Talk to your dermatologist about potentially getting a lower strength. Talk to your dermatologist about potentially reducing the frequency of application. You know, maybe he or she originally said use it every night, and what will work best for you is using it every other night or every third night, at least until your skin really acclimates to it. Those are a couple of options. The other thing that you can consider doing is switching to a heavier, even more emollient moisturizer, or like in the case of our products, you could apply the Skin Recovery Hydrating Treatment Mask or our new Rehydrating Mask over the Skin Recovery Moisturizer Retinoid combination at night for that additional kind of sealing in of all those great ingredients and giving them a longer period of time to contact the skin.
Chrissy is wondering if she can mix vitamin C into any of her other skincare products.
If you can mix vitamin C into any of your other skincare products, yes. Yeah, there's stories out there about not mixing vitamin C with niacinamide. Without getting too heavily into the chemistry behind that, that notion and what happens as far as like one deactivating the other is based on some very old research that was looking at pure concentrations of those ingredients being mixed in a very specific way. Skincare products and those ingredients as used in skincare, the more bioactive ingredients, formulators know that you're not just using that product and that you'll be using that ingredient with ingredients that are in other products that are in a typical skincare routine, and they account for that. So there really isn't any reason, unless the form of vitamin C you're using is like a powder and may not have an emulsifier type ingredient that would allow it to mix into another formula without some sort of separation or weird texture change. But let's say you're talking about a pre-mixed vitamin C type product like our C15 Super Booster, and you're wondering if you can mix it with any of your other products. The only exception to that rule is to not mix that or any other product in with your sunscreen, because that will diminish its effectiveness. How much is an unknown, but when it comes to sunscreen, you want as much protection as you can get. Otherwise, feel free to mix vitamin C with any of the other products in your routine. A hydroquinone product, niacinamide. You can add it to an exfoliant if you want to, any of our serums, moisturizers, body lotions.
Kevin is wondering if it is really necessary to use a toner to balance the pH of the skin, or is a pH balanced cleanser enough?
So is it really necessary to use a toner to balance the pH of your skin? No. That is kind of outdated information that stemmed from the days when the majority of facial cleansers available were soaps, like true bar soaps, ivory soap, Cam-A, that type of stuff. Those bar soaps were naturally alkaline. And so every time you'd wash your face with them, you would be disturbing what's called the acid mantle on skin. And that's why a lot of soaps leave skin feeling the size too small, and you can't open your mouth all the way because it's just so tight. It would take some time for the skin to recover from that. So the thinking is that after you'd wash with this alkaline product, you would then take a toner, or back in those days, many of them were called fresheners or astringents, and you would put that on to rebalance the skin's pH. And it was just the toners back then were essentially acidic solutions. Skin is naturally acidic. Its average pH kind of goes between 4.5 and 6. Anything less than 7 is considered acidic. Anything over 7, 7 being neutral, as in tap water, anything over 7 is alkaline. So today's toners, because the water-soluble cleansers today, even a lot of the bar cleansers, if you're a fan of using those that are soap-free. They are they're pH balanced to be within that range that works best for skin, so that you can wash with them and they're not throwing your skin's pH out of whack. Therefore, you don't need to use another product to bring your skin's pH back to normal. It stayed normal. So the toners today are really about giving skin back all of those replenishing, lightweight type hydrating ingredients that even some of the best cleansers can take away to a point simply by virtue of how they work. That's the formulary approach that Paula's Choice took with all of our toners, is that they're all about giving back to skin, replenishing, rebuilding, refreshing, as opposed to stripping or taking something away.
Let's see. Hi, Bryan, says Kitten Casserole.
Kitten. I've seen that name before. It always makes me giggle.
I recently changed to the Resist 2% pore refining BHA, and I'm getting a lot of dead skin buildup. Should I add in an AHA or go to a higher BHA?
You're getting a lot of dead skin buildup. So dead skin buildup is what these exfoliants should be taking away. What you might be seeing, and I'm kind of making an educated guess, not knowing what else is part of your routine. What you might be seeing is some kickback from exfoliating too much. You might be actually seeing some flaking and some dehydration because the exfoliant that you're now using, it could be a bit too strong for you. It could be that you're using several higher strength products all at the same time, and that's just too much for your skin. You need to separate application of those. But ideally, with any leave-on exfoliant, whether it's AHA or BHA, regardless what the concentration is, you really should only see positive results. You shouldn't see a buildup of dead skin cells. You shouldn't see flaking skin. You shouldn't see red or rough-looking skin. Those can all be signs that the scale has tipped too far in the direction of sensitizing your skin, and it means that the exfoliant you're using isn't the right one for you. And again, you do need to take into account what else you're using in your routine. People do tend to overdo the more active products, thinking, again, if a little bit of this is good, then more must be better. Or I can just apply everything all at once and my skin can handle it. I mean, skin can take a lot, but again, it's always a balancing act, and you never want to, it's that little meter, you don't want to tip it to this side and risk your skin getting a kickback from irritation, as opposed to going in the side of the benefits, the smoother the smoother texture, the smaller pores, less clogs and bumps, all of that good stuff that we know BHA can do. And then, of course, AHAs have their own benefits too.
Joseph Murphy is wondering what your take is on Brandon Truaxe's opinion on acids, that they're bad for skin because they cause inflammation, in particular continuous low-level inflammation, for example, using a 2% BHA every day. Do you know Brandon Truaxe?
Oh, yeah, I know. Okay. I know who he is. I haven't. What strikes me as odd about him saying that is that his brand, The Ordinary, which is one of the Decium brands, they sell acids.
Yeah, I don't
they sell BHA and AHA products, so I don't know if this opinion that he's put out there is one that is clearly from what they're selling. I was just on the site earlier today. They're still selling those acids, so if that really is how he feels, I don't understand why they're continuing to sell those products. There's a contrariness there that I can't answer. I mean, obviously, he's not here. I'm not in his head. What I can say is that when an AHA or BHA exfoliant is carefully formulated, it does not have to inflame or damage the skin. It really steps in to assist skin with doing what it normally would do, and that process, that natural exfoliation process that we don't see. And I think one of the best visual examples I can give you is to look at a child's skin. You know, look at a 3 or 4-year-old skin. It's smooth, it's plump, it's even. Their skin is exfoliating at a pretty rapid rate. You don't see it happening. You just see their perfectly smooth, even-toned, plump skin. As that child ages, as that child receives more unprotected exposure to UV light, and other things start happening inside the body that affect the skin, and it varies from person to person, that natural exfoliation process that happens so invisibly and seamlessly becomes faulty. Skin doesn't know how to do what it used to do, or it becomes inefficient or sluggish, kind of like when a drain gets clogged. You know, just the water doesn't run out as smoothly. When you add an AHA or BHA exfoliant to your routine, it sends the message to your skin that I'm here to do what you're no longer able to do either at all or as well, and that process continues. In order for exfoliants to work, they do need to be in an acidic pH, ideally between 3 and 4. That is lower than the natural pH of skin. So you could argue that as exfoliants begin to work, there is a bit of irritation that happens simply by virtue of how they start getting into the skin to work their magic. But it's very short-lived. It's like a flash process, and the good that they do for skin. I mean, there's research on what glycolic acid can help regenerate the natural moisturizing factors in skin, things like sodium PCA and mucopolysaccharides and glycosaminoglycans. That would not be a typical response from skin if it was being sensitized. What would happen instead is that a whole different set of chemicals would be generated as skin was trying to defend itself. So you wouldn't see so much of those replenishing substances that skin used to be able to make in abundance, and again, that process has become faulty. So I elaborated quite a bit there, but the bottom line is that I don't agree. That's not reflected in the research. I suppose you could find research that looks at pure concentrations of AHA and BHA on skin, or on like skin cells, and oh my gosh, look, you know, it's causing damage. But that doesn't take into account how those ingredients are used in carefully formulated products that are pH calibrated. You've got the base formula, you know, that has ingredients that all contribute to the results of the product. And we all know, if you've used AHA or BHA exfoliants, you know from personal experience how wonderful they can be and how transformative they can be for numerous skin concerns. So he's entitled to his opinion. I'm not giving up my BHA.
Bella is wondering if having skin that is prone to clogging means that you should use as minimal products as possible.
Not necessarily. It's sort of that tends to make sense more for sensitive and redness-prone skin, particularly if you haven't been able to pinpoint what your skin is reacting to, or even the most benign, fragrance-free, gentle, basic products still can set your skin off, and there's no rhyme or reason to it. Then there's some logic there to using fewer products and making sure that whatever products you do use have as few ingredients as possible. You know, don't look for those everything but the kitchen sink ingredient lists. Actually, that's good advice for all of us, because in products like that, you're not getting very much of anything spectacular. It just looks good on the label. For clog-prone skin, I think it's really about avoiding the thicker, waxier, heavier emollient-type ingredients, and to some extent, certain oils that have a smaller size that enable them to get in further into the pore lining and potentially get stuck. Grapeseed is a good example of a thinner, less saturated oil that's very fluid and that can kind of more easily penetrate into the pore lining as opposed to remaining on the surface of skin. And once it gets into that pore lining, if the mechanisms in place aren't allowing that natural exfoliation process to happen as efficiently, ingredients like that can get stuck. They can mix with the oil that your skin's naturally producing, the dead skin, the tiny hairs that would normally make their way out to the surface and slough off. All of that can get backed up and lead to clogs. So it isn't so much about using fewer products as making sure that the products that you do use are thinner in texture. Liquids, gels, and lotions, I wouldn't go much thicker than a lotion, and even then only use a lotion if you have drier areas.
Roel says, "Hi Bryan, EU regulations are frustrating when it comes to BHA percentages. Do you think that these regulations will ever change? We want BHA 4% and BHA in general in Europe. Greetings from the Netherlands."
Yeah. I wish I had a crystal ball and could say, that, or I had some sway with EU regulatory groups when it comes to cosmetics. I've talked with people behind the scenes who are much more enmeshed in that area than I am, and they have similar sentiments as far as some of the restrictions, and it's frustrating because you could say, well, why are so many more sunscreen actives permitted for use in Europe than there are here in the United States, and yet Europe is worried about restricting concentrations of other ingredients, particularly salicylic acid, that has a long history of safe use even in higher concentrations. It is frustrating. It's a mystery, and I don't have an answer for you other than salicylic acid is allowed up to a certain percentage, and those products are from Paula's Choice and from other brands are available in EU member countries, and you can always import other products. An individual can order a higher strength product as long as you're not planning to resell it. And the products are so good, why would you want to do that? Just use it for yourself. So yeah, I wish that would change, or that we had some individual influence over it, but we just don't. We have to play by the rules, and those are the rules.
Aaron is wondering what your opinion is on snail extract.
The snails. That slime that snails naturally secrete that allows them to move along surfaces. It got some buzz a while ago for being a transformative ingredient in skincare products, and all kinds of claims were attributed to it. Analysis of that substance, and it's fair to call it a slime. It is kind of slimy. No one's keeping a snail as a pet and loving how they feel. It does contain trace amounts of minerals, trace amounts of vitamins, amino acids. There are some interesting ingredients that make up that substance that can help skin. It's just, with any more exotic ingredient like that, it never turns out to be better than anything else. It captures people's attention because there's that disgusting element to it, and are people really putting this on their face? Kind of like in years past, bee venom has made the rounds as being an ingredient for skin. What are some of the other ones? I was going to say honey, but other than being sticky. There was one more. It was the bee venom, the snail. Wasn't there something years ago about bird droppings?
Oh yeah, guano or bat.
Yeah. there was that. It gets attention. It's an interesting hook. You could certainly build a product story around it and see where it goes. But I think there was also some healing factors that were found in that snail slime. But when that type of an ingredient is extracted and mixed into a product, I often wonder how much of that original composition and activity does it maintain? And the answer is probably not a whole heck of a lot. I certainly haven't seen scientific research on that ingredient saying that it is, better than retinol or a must-have ingredient for skin. I haven't seen anything that says it's harmful. I mean, I wouldn't, if you're using a product that contains that ingredient and you're liking the results, unless it has some other, fragrant or bad ingredients in there that we wouldn't recommend using, then yeah, keep using it. There's no reason not to. Snail secretion, ferment, filtrate, however it's listed, isn't a harmful ingredient.
Okay. SN12 is wondering what to do for her acne-prone or their acne-prone skin that is also severely dehydrated and dull without using heavy products.
Yeah, that's a that's a tricky one. Because you don't, the temptation is to use the richer, creamier products or, the oilier products to kind of bring back that hydration and that glow. It's hard to answer that specifically without knowing what you've been using to take care of your skin and to address the acne. Because did she say dehydration and dullness?
Mm-hmm.
The dehydration and the dullness could be side effects from the products that you're using.
She's using Retin-A.
Ah, okay. I would talk to your dermatologist about switching to a different prescription retinoid. Potentially ask about adapalene, which is the brand name is different, but I believe it's also available generically, either as a cream or a gel, and you may want to go with the cream version. It's a gentler retinoid than tretinoin, which is the generic name for Retin-A. If you're also using for some people, the combination of a prescription retinoid, benzoyl peroxide to control the acne-causing bacteria, and then salicylic acid to exfoliate, it's too much. You might need to experiment with the new retinoid. I really think you should probably get yourself into a new retinoid and apply that less frequently. And I'm assuming you're using the gold standard benzoyl peroxide salicylic acid, whether it's from Paula's Choice or another brand, to get the other symptoms of acne under control. Experiment with that. I think that a product like our Radiance Renewal Mask, which is a gel cream type texture, that could be an interesting option for you to experiment with and apply every night as a topper when you've gone through your routine. It has a gel cream texture, but it's super, super hydrating. It helps trap that moisture in the skin so it's not escaping, and while at the same time it gives back those hydrating ingredients, and it won't clog your pores. I promise. It will not make your acne worse. We have some other creamier options, but I think that Radiance Renewal Mask would be a good one for you to try. I also would steer you toward a product like our Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner, which is a really, really moisturizing yet lightweight, milky type liquid that you could put on after you cleanse, and then you could go on with your anti-acne products, your prescription retinoid, and then finish with that Radiance Renewal Mask. Try that combination. I think that you'll really see some good results with it, and then circle back. Join us for another live chat. We try to do them every Thursday, and let me know how your skin responded to that.
And Joseph Murphy also responded to that question, saying that they had the same issues and found niacinamide products really helpful and also reduced inflammation.
Okay, yeah, niacinamide is one of those multi-talented ingredients, and one of the things that niacinamide does so beautifully for skin surface is that it can prompt the natural production of ceramides within skin's uppermost layers, and it helps to strengthen and restore skin's surface. All of that without posing a risk of clogging pores. If you really wanted to give your skin a hefty dose of niacinamide, you could try our 10% niacinamide booster. I still think the toner recommendation and the Radiance Renewal Mask will go a long way together towards getting you past that dullness and dehydration, and then the niacinamide would kind of be the icing on the cake. So thank you, Joseph.
Gina has combination sensitive skin, is using our Calm line and loving it, but her skin feels dehydrated So she tried cutting down on her daily BHA, but it made her skin look so much worse and still dry. Do you have advice?
Wondering if she's using Calm for normal to dry or Calm for normal to oily.
Well, she says, yeah, she's
She
combination.
mentioned combination skin, so I'm thinking Calm for normal to oily. I would say, I think that perhaps some of the dehydration and the dryness, it may be from the finish that the Redness Relief Moisturizer SPF 30 has, because that's a mineral sunscreen, and those minerals can be a bit drying and they tend to be a bit absorbent. For the oilier areas, that can be great, but when you have combination skin and if your cheeks are drier, it could be a little bit too much. So if you have the entire Calm routine and you've got that nighttime moisturizer as well, the one without the sunscreen, put that on your dryness prone areas. Or if you're thinking, I'm either feeling dry or looking dehydrated all over, then use the night moisturizer during the day under your sunscreen. Give that a try and see if that helps. Another thing you could try doing is, instead of using the Calm toner for normal to oily skin, switch to the Calm toner for normal to dry skin. It's going to give you some extra hydration, some extra moisture. It won't add a heavier slick feeling, but it's just a more substantial toner in terms of hydration than the Calm toner for normal to oily skin. So I think with just a couple minor tweaks there, you can get past that hump and you'll see some nice improvements.
We've had a lot of questions about what products can be helpful for red-prone skin. Can we talk about a few products in our line that help with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of the Redness Relief Serum from our Calm line. That is by far our one serum that is the most packed with those soothing anti-irritant type plant-based ingredients, and it's got a really nice lightweight texture. Smooths over the skin. It can be used by all skin types. It won't clog the pores. If you have dry skin, you'll still need a moisturizer. If you have oily skin, you might find that the Calm Redness Relief Serum provides enough hydration that you don't need that extra product, but you'd have to experiment to see. Other products that I like, if you have dry skin, I think our Moisture Renewal Oil Booster is great for anti-redness, because there's 9 non-fragrant plant oils in that product, and all of them have calming properties that can help soothe and rebalance stressed out skin. The other product that I like for redness, and it's not as heavy as the oil booster, would be the Resist Omega Plus Complex Serum. The research on the omega fatty acids, and we're using omega-3, 6, and 9 in that serum, the research on those ingredients helping to smooth and rebuild skin's barrier, and the tremendous calming influence that they have on skin. Even skin that's been overexposed to sunlight, it's pretty fantastic what they can do. So those would be my top 3 picks. Interestingly, they all have different textures. So Calm Redness Relief, if you're just looking for a single product that would be best for your skin type, the Calm Serum would be oily combination skin. The Resist Omega Complex would be normal to slightly dry, maybe slightly oily skin, and then the Resist Moisture Renewal Oil Booster would be for dry to very dry skin. We're talking all over application. Totally fine to layer those products. I mean, the more of those soothing, calming ingredients you can put on skin, the better. And ideally, you should make sure that those types of ingredients are present to some degree in all of the products you use, particularly the leave-on products, because you can't get enough of them. And you can't overdo it either. So there's no reason not to seek those out in as many products as possible when one of your main skin concerns is redness.
Claire is 24 years old, and she's noticing some crow's feet and smile lines on her face. She wears a mineral sunscreen every day, BHA exfoliant, and products with niacinamide and matrixyl. Is there anything she is missing? And then somebody said, you're missing a retinoid. And she said, I've heard that using a retinoid in your 20s can be damaging to the skin in the long term.
So that part isn't true. It sounds to me like that kind of dovetails with the notion that some people have that if you start using a retinoid too early, it won't work later on when you really need it to work. And it's just not what happens. And the easiest way to help people understand that is to use the food analogy. You're 24 years old now. Eating a couple blueberries today will be just as good for you as when you're 44. Your body is not going to get used to the nutrients in blueberries so that 20 years down the road when you eat blueberries, it all just kind of passes right through. You're not absorbing anything, because you've already had that before. You don't need it. Great skincare ingredients follow the same principle. What can be true with the retinoids, not everybody needs, for example, not everybody needs a prescription retinoid. But at your age, first of all, taking the skincare steps that you're taking now at 24 is awesome. I know a lot of people, including members of my own family, that still aren't taking very good care of their skin, or that started really thinking about that much later in the process. And you look back and think of if you had started that skincare, even just some of the basic stuff like exfoliation and sunscreen 10 years prior, and the difference that would make in terms of how your skin would look now. Let's not live in the past and look back with regret, but it can be pretty startling. Did she say she was using a sunscreen?
Yes.
Okay.
Every day.
Excellent. So in terms of what else, I think what you could look at adding would be a retinol product, either a moisturizer with retinol like our barrier repair moisturizer, or a serum with a lower amount of retinol like our skin recovery or our skin balancing serums. And which one to choose is really more about skin type. So more normal to dry, skin recovery; normal to oily, skin balancing. And of course, either one of those serums is going to introduce a whole series of other beneficial ingredients along with retinol, because we're not about just one ingredient for skin, any more than just recommending one food for somebody to eat would be sound nutritional advice. It's not. I think that what you're doing is about what you should be doing for your age. In terms of the crow's feet, I have to imagine that at your age, they probably seem worse to you than they do to anybody else. And I wouldn't be surprised if your mother or your friends are like, no, you do not have crow's feet. Oftentimes we mistake the fine lines that start showing up around the eyes as crow's feet. I kind of liken crow's feet to those lines that really kind of extend out more. And some people call them smile lines, and they are, because that's the part of the skin that crinkles up when you smile. But I would say somebody has crow's feet when those lines are kind of more etched in the skin, and even when the person is expressionless, you can still see evidence of those lines. And unless you've had a lot of sun damage in your younger years or did the tanning beds for years and years, I bet that at your age you just don't have crow's feet per se. However, taking steps right now to protect that area, that vulnerable area, from sun damage, which you're doing, and I would, as an add-on piece of advice to the sunscreen, make sure that you're wearing sunglasses, particularly the kind that are more of that wraparound style, or even the larger frame, so that the lenses kind of go down like this, and they, as much as possible, try to block that light coming in from the side, because that can be, UV damage isn't just overhead, bounces up, comes at you from the sides, it's everywhere. It's kind of like the Kardashians. You could start using an eye cream or an eye gel. It's not essential, but if you want to do something special for the eye area, that would be something worth looking into. And maybe start with an eye cream like the one from CeraVe that you can get at the drugstore. It's a decent to good formula, nice amount of ceramides. It's about $15. And see if you notice an improvement adding that type of a product to your routine. Keep up with the sunscreen, and I mean, I think you're on a great track. I think 20 years down the road, you are going to love how your skin looks and be so happy that you started taking care of it now. And don't be afraid about using retinol. You can't start too soon.
Nutcase is wondering if there are any cutting-edge ingredient research. Is there any cutting-edge ingredient research that Paula's Choice is looking into, and what's looking promising?
So there is. I don't want to go into too much detail. One, because there's some decisions we haven't made yet about what we're going to do with that information, and two, you know, there's always the element of surprise, and what can you expect from us next? I think that one of the bigger areas of research that is continuing to grow are peptides. There's just more and more information is coming to light about peptides, particularly the kind that are engineered in a lab. And what's particularly exciting about that is how the newer generation of peptides are not only more stable and therefore more effective, they can reach their target areas in the skin in a much more efficient way than was possible even 5 years ago, but these peptides can be designed to target very specific concerns about skin, and they can signal to skin to start acting the way it did before it was damaged, and to some extent help to visibly repair some of that damage. So I think you'll start seeing more peptides in use for more individualized concerns. Like when peptides first hit the scene, it was pretty much all about wrinkles and fine line reduction. They're so much more specialized right now in terms of there's a peptide for this. There's new peptides being looked at for the concerns like dark circles. There's new peptides being looked at for concerns like brown spots, dullness, resurfacing. It just goes on and on. And what we're discovering is that a lot of these peptide ingredients they work their magic on the skin, and they pose no risk of causing a sensitized reaction, which is incredibly exciting. Because I'll use retinol as an example. Even with everything we know about retinol and the 50+ years of research behind its use for skin, for some people, retinol just isn't tolerable. Even tiny amounts of it can cause a kickback. The benefits that you would get from using retinol just aren't worth what your skin has to endure while you're using it, so you just can't use it. We're just not finding that to be true with peptides, which is exciting. It's particularly if you have sensitive, redness-prone, highly reactive skin and are nervous about ingredients like retinol. I think to some extent peptides can be a saving grace. I could just go on for days about peptides. The other area that I think is exciting is what I would kind of classify as superfood ingredients. There's definitely a lot of trendiness behind those ingredients, and some of them are just kind of like flash in the pan, and just what's known about them is either not all that interesting or it's just been overinflated. But there are several superfood type ingredients, and then you can kind of dig a little bit deeper, which I think you'll start seeing some of the smarter brands doing, where you have a superfood like spinach or broccoli or goji berry and things of that nature, and rather than just use like that whole berry or that whole spinach, they're isolating the individual compounds within that plant that make it such a nutritional powerhouse, whether it's a specific potent antioxidant or some other substance in the plant that allows it, for example, to thrive under harsh conditions or to thrive in sunlight. I'm not aligning that with some of the products out there that make a claim that they contain, like, this everlasting life plant. I just made that up. And this plant is only harvested from a mountain peak during the harshest climactic conditions you've ever encountered, and somehow this plant manages to thrive, and therefore we can put it in a product, and that means that your skin is going to do exactly what the plant does in nature. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is finding out what is in the plant that makes it so robust, and then translating that to how it can benefit skin. How much do you need to use in a product? What do you need to use to deliver that ingredient to skin so that it can have the most benefit? And then how can you create a product that has a really aesthetically pleasing texture, color, so that the experience that you get at home using the product, not only are you seeing results, but you're really enjoying using the product. It's something that you just feel good about using. It literally feels good on skin. So all of that type of stuff coming together are the two big areas that I'm particularly excited about.
We had someone asking which Paula's Choice product that has been discontinued would you like to see come back? Which one is your favorite of long ago?
Oh, that's a good question, because there's been a lot of products over the years that we've let go of. One of the ones that come to mind, and this was more of a thing for me when they were part of the line, because I was doing more makeup, was I loved our eyeshadows. We had single use, not single isn't like use it once and throw it away. We had eyeshadow singles, and then we did some trios and whatnot, and they were completely matte. The color range was beautiful. It worked on a wide range of skin tones. They blended well. And I, along with Paula, had a hand in creating those colors and formulas. So I was very proud of that. I know a lot of our longtime customers loved those shadows as well. So that came to mind. We also had a product that we got out of Italy, and it was called Constant Color Lip Paint. And we did maybe 8 or 10 shades of that. It kind of went on very smooth, like a gloss, and then it set to this long-wearing color. But it wasn't like the transfer-resistant ultra matte formulas, where in order to get that long-wearing color, you had to deal with dry, cracked, dehydrated lips. This actually kind of moved with lips and felt really great. So that would be another makeup product that I would love to see us bring back. I don't even know if the formula is still available anymore. That was not one of our formulas. We actually purchased that from an Italian color house. And skincare-wise, what have I missed skincare-wise? We had, years ago, in fact, I think it was one of the original Paula's Choice products, was an item called Essential Non-Greasy Sunscreen SPF 15. And first of all, today with what we know from the latest research, we would not do an SPF 15 product. It's not enough. You want SPF 30 or greater. But in the mid to late 90s, SPF 15 was kind of the SPF 50 of the day, because it wasn't uncommon to see SPF 4, 6, 8, and 10 from a lot of brands, and particularly sun care lines. So the Essential Non-Greasy SPF 15 was just an elegant lotion. It was silky. It didn't feel like a sunscreen. It didn't clog pores. It just went on really easily, and a lot of people really liked that product. So I missed that. But knowing what I know today, even if that was available, I wouldn't use SPF 15. I just can't. It's kind of like when you know about the dangers of smoking, and you keep smoking, and you're conflicted. It's like, I shouldn't be doing this. I know it's bad for me.
Michael says, hi Bryan, at what point in a routine do you shave? A lot of routines I saw focus on women, so do I shave before and after toner, or before or after toner, and what about aftershave and moisturizer? Thanks.
So, hi Michael. I am a fan of shaving clean skin, and I don't like shaving in the shower, and trying to use one of those mirrors and the whole. So I'm a sink shaver. So I typically shower, wash my face, and then I'll shave at the sink. And then I splash off any excess shave cream, towel dry. I'll use the Resist Advanced Replenishing Toner as my aftershave. Sometimes I'll put it on with a cotton pad. Sometimes I just pour some in my hand and literally splash it on my face and kind of rub it in, and it absorbs pretty quickly, and I move on with the rest of my routine. There isn't a hard and fast rule. If you find that, I find that shaving clean skin gives me a closer, cleaner shave, and if you miss a spot, you're not missing it quite as badly. But some guys if you have sensitive or drier skin, it's better to shave before you cleanse, because you have a little bit of that natural buffer on skin from the oils or from the product you put on the night before that can help cushion your skin if it tends to react more strongly to shaving. So what I would encourage you to do is try it both ways and see what works best for you. There's no right or wrong way to do it, other than to make sure that you're not, always use a gentle touch with the razor. Generally, downward motions on the face and then upward motions on the neck tend to work best for most guys based on how whiskers grow. I find that if I do just downward strokes on my neck, that I miss a lot of the whiskers because of how they grow out of the skin, and so just doing this tends to work better for me. But again, you'll have to experiment to see. Your pattern of hair growth on the neck may be different, and just trial and error.
Great, and we have time for one more question.
Okay.
We have somebody wondering why some brands believe that silicones are regarded as suspicious ingredients, and so maybe we could myth bust a bit about silicones.
I've never. That's kind of becoming a big one. The two things that I see is that that silicones clog pores, and that silicones occlude skin, and they stop the penetration of other ingredients into skin, and so they're a problem in skincare. And the research just isn't there to support that. In terms of silicones being occlusive, they're not. They're naturally permeable. There's, from a molecular level, there's a permeability factor that allows air to flow through, and they actually can be an excellent delivery system for certain antioxidants, because you have water-soluble antioxidants, and then there's oil or lipid-soluble antioxidants. And silicones, depending on the silicone, it's fluid technology, but there's a lot about different silicones that equates them with oil. So that is one of the reasons why certain oil-soluble antioxidants work really well in a silicone base, and the silicones don't stop those ingredients from getting to where they need to go in skin. In terms of silicones clogging pores, again, the majority of silicones that are used in skincare products, their size is too big for them to penetrate and get stuck inside the pore. But because of their permeability, those ingredients that are smaller can still get through and reach their target areas of skin. One of the reasons that silicones are so versatile. So there's I've seen some concerns about silicone purity. There are silicones that are used in industrial capacity. However, the silicones that are used in cosmetics are a different grade, a different type. They are highly purified ingredients. They are considered inert. They're considered safe. Silicones are used in burn treatment centers around the world because of the way that they can help skin recover from that type of damage. There really isn't anything bad to say about silicones as they're used in products. If your personal experience with products that contain silicones has led you to conclude that they clog your pores or worsen breakouts or somehow have a negative effect on your skin, okay, That's an individual response. It's an anecdotal experience, and you can certainly experiment with products that don't contain silicones and see how your skin improves. And if it does improve, okay. I think it's fair to say that for whatever reason, you can't use silicones, but that doesn't necessarily mean that silicones should be lumped into this group of bad ingredients, any more so than if you're allergic to cats. That means that you probably shouldn't have a cat in your life because it's going to make you miserable, but it doesn't make cats bad, and it doesn't mean that other people shouldn't have cats as a pet if they're not allergic. So I don't, we're still formulating with silicones. A lot of other brands are, but we're also looking toward silicone alternatives, just because that is our research and formulary approach, where we always look at different alternatives for ingredients and products to create the texture and the experience that we want. And sometimes silicones are the best choice, and sometimes they don't work as well as some other ingredients that may have similar properties but are able to deliver what we want the product to do in an even better way. So from Paula's Choice, at least, you're still going to see some silicones, but you'll also start seeing some silicone alternatives that we think are really interesting, and we're not choosing them because all of a sudden we're anti-silicone. It's all about that balance. And of course, choosing the ingredients that we truly feel are going to work best in the formula and best for your skin. So, are we out of time?
We are. Do you want to read what our latest promotion is? Want me to give this to you so you can read it?
Our latest
so I don't have to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
I'll take a look with your giant laptop. Okay. You get a free travel size duo with a $50 purchase, and it's our Optimal Results Cleanser and Anti-Aging Eye Cream, which are in these really cool, okay, I need to get these sizes. These really cool sizes for,
Raise it up a bit.
For travel. The little
more.
The little cleanser bottle and the eye cream. Aren't those cute? And so that's available with any purchase of $50 or more. So if there's stuff that you need to stock up on, you can get these two little treats. That's really nice. The Resist Optimal Results Hydrating Cleanser, it's ideal for normal to dry skin, but any skin type can use it. It's actually I think one of our nicest cleansers, and especially a good one to use if you are experiencing seasonal dryness. So, all right. That's it for this week's live chat, live from our fancy schmancy studio here in Seattle. Am I doing a chat next week? Are we going to set it up? Okay. So I'll do a chat next week with you guys from home base in Michigan. I will not be this dressed up, so please forgive me. And come back with your questions. The people that we talked to today, I'd love for you to come back in the next week or two and let me know if my suggestions helped or not. And it's perfectly fine to come back and say it didn't work. Now what? Because I want to help you get to the bottom of these concerns so that you can get your skin back on track and start seeing the results you want. And as with so many other things in life, when it comes to skincare, there's often more than one way to do things or one product solution to try. So, let's work together. And thank you for joining me for this live chat. Thanks to those who tune in every week and contribute. This is great. I love having the dialogue with you. So until next time, bye-bye.